Hi. So the next thing we're looking at is the archaic style. And I'm showing you the map of Africa, of North Africa again. So we're now focusing on this small area here known as Tassili Niger. And we are able to date this art a little bit better because we're able to do carbon 14 testing on the art. And so we know it is sometime between 8,000 to 6,000 BC that these images were made. The most famous of them is known as the horned female figure, which is this. This is what I'm showing you here. So we know that this figure dates to this time period, 8,000 to 6,000 BC or BCE. And one thing to look at here when we're looking at this figure is how the arms and legs are bent. So she's dancing, running, something like this, but she's definitely in movement. And just like the art from the last little bit of the video I showed you, she has a human body and an animal head or some kind of mask on. So she has these horns that are coming out from the side of her head. And we believe that this is to indicate that she's some kind of deity. We also think this because look at the size of her in comparison, here she is, in comparison to the other people that are depicted. She is so much larger. So we see this in a lot of ancient art that whoever is or whomever is the most important person is bigger. This is called hierarchical scale. We have the things that are really hard to depict are missing here. So we don't really have feet or arms, and her head, her face is not shown. So these, when you ever have taken perhaps a class or tried to draw somebody or something, you find that the face and the hands and the feet are the hardest things. So they've been left out. We have from her on her arms these things that are coming down, and on her waist, this stuff. We believe this could indicate raffia, which is a natural grass that grows in this area of Africa, or because of the time period here, we know that the droughts had already begun here. And so this could be some kind of indication of rain. And so maybe she's a rain god, or maybe this was some kind of ritual or, masquerade that they were hoping to get rain. We also see dots, these white dots in rows on her body. So this could be literally paint that's added onto the skin, or it could be indicating tattooing or scarification, which we'll see a lot in North Africa and we'll discuss in a future video. Here we see another image, and we see once again human body and then this kind of head. But in this case, it doesn't really look like an animal. In fact, it looks like a mask. And if you know anything about African art, you know that there is a very long tradition of masquerading. And I actually just mentioned it a second ago. So masquerading, the belief is that when you put these masks on, you actually become that god or that spirit. And it's very linked to the various religions all across the continent of Africa. And the date again is 8,000 to 6,000 BC. Wow, that's really early, right? So we know that the masquerading, in this case, has a really, really long tradition in African cultures. In our next slide here, we see the pastoralist or the cattle style. And so right away we see animals, and we see that the scale is correct between the animals and the people. We know by this time of now 5,000 to 2,000 BC or BCE, we are having people domesticating animals and they're farmers. So they're no longer in the Paleolithic period of hunters and gatherers, right? And the pastoralists were created by herding, agriculture, and they appear in the Central Sahara region as early as the 5th millennia BC. And here we have a man, right? And he seems to be herding this animal. Next to him over here, we have perhaps women or children that are talking, carrying on a conversation. And then we have this very strange thing here. What is this? This could be a house, or it could actually be like the link to the spiritual world that they are trying to depict in a visual representation. So we have these kind of strange things that we'll see throughout African art that are depicting, trying to literally like show a visual representation of the spiritual world. Another thing that we see here that's really common in this kind of pastoral art, and also Egyptian art and many other kinds of early art like this, is that we have men and women, and the men will be depicted with darker skin and the women are depicted with lighter skin. This is very typical. And it makes sense because probably the men are out, farming more outside, where women are maybe more inside. So their skin, the men's skin, might have been tanner. And so that is one of the reasons we think that it's usually shown as being darker. Most of the pastoralist art was produced during the middle of the 4th millennia BC. By the 2nd millennia BC, the pastoralists seem to have left the Sahara area. And this is most likely due to drought, that the drought pushes them out of the area. But we believe that these ancient people are related to the descendants who now live in the area of the northeastern part of Africa, because there is a long tradition of herding cattle that is still in existence today.